We are the first generation to feel the impact of climate change and the last one to do something about it. The statement by Barack Obama had such a deep impact on me, and it set me on the journey that I'm on today. Hi, I'm Aastha Bharadwaj, founder of Climate Hires. We are a firm bridging talent gap in the climate workforce. And I'm here to talk about a question. What if your job could help save the planet? I was 8 years old when I took my first boat ride. It should have been exciting, right? I mean, any kid would love a boat adventure. Instead, it was an evacuation. My entire village was flooded. I actually remember enjoying parts of the ride because I was just too young to understand the seriousness of the situation. And while there was a lot of panic among people who had lost their houses, cattle, and crops, I was oblivious, and I was just fascinated by water everywhere. While that remains my only experience with extreme erratic weather, unfortunately, the same doesn't hold true for my family and other people in my village who had lost their houses, cattle, and crops, and were all farmers, so unseasonal rains and heat waves continue to impact their lives every single year. But I moved to bigger cities, first to Delhi and then Bangalore, which partially shielded me from the experience people were having at home. And I say partially because, well, we all know about Delhi's air. Delhi's air quality index isn't just a number. It might as well be labeled as lung damage score. And Bangalore, a city that just can't decide whether to drown you or dehydrate you, because somehow it manages to have flooded streets in July and empty taps by March. Fast forward a few years, I had built myself a career in the recruitment space. I was working with tech companies. I was placing thousands of people in well-paying tech jobs with high-growth startups. I was also privileged to have a rapid growth in my own career. But after a point, it felt like I was playing this elaborate game of musical chairs where I was moving one person from here to there, offering a little more money, a better title. And I kept wondering if this is it. What will it mean to work on something that I actually care about? Those questions quietly lived in my head for years together. I didn't act on them because of the fears I had about leaving my comfortable job and facing the unknown. So I carried on. I carried on until life itself threw me a curveball. The company that I was working with went through restructuring, and my entire team was impacted. It was a moment of fear and uncertainty, but to me, it also felt like a sign to stop waiting. But to be honest, I was so terrified that I actually thought, like, what will it mean if I finally listen to that voice in my head that had been whispering, to choose the work that was urgent, to choose the work that I had been circling all along, to contribute to the fight against climate change. But the questions in my head followed. What does it even mean to work in climate? I mean, do I have to start off from scratch? After 10 years of my career, will I be able to earn enough to live comfortably? And most importantly, do I even have the skills for it? I mean, I was just a recruiter. I wasn't a scientist. I wasn't planting trees. I wasn't inventing technologies in labs. I was mostly inventing ways to convince people to show up for their Monday interviews, after all. So what could someone like me possibly do in climate? So I did what recruiters do best. I started talking to people. Friends of friends working in climate, cold messaging strangers on LinkedIn, attending climate events where I understood about 30% of what was being said. I also attended a 12-week fellowship by Terra.do, where I learned about climate science. And all of these things changed everything for me. I not only learned about how the ecosystem in India was evolving, but I met some incredibly inspiring people. I met a marketing leader. She was building and commercializing seaweed-based alternative to plastic. I met a banker who returned from Hong Kong to India to work on afforestation projects. I met an executive coach who was training elite sports team and business teams, and now he was building high-performing teams for companies solving for decarbonization. And it hit me that none of them started in climate. They used the skills they had and they pointed them in a new direction. And the more people I met, I saw a pattern emerging. There were organizations in climate struggling to hire people because the ecosystem was still maturing. There were highly passionate set of folks who wanted to work in climate and they had no clue how to make it happen, and having all the questions that I had at that point. And the third one, from a recruiter's lens, there were people with very relevant skills, but they had no clue that their skills were needed in the climate space. It was a matchmaking problem, and suddenly the dots connected. I wasn't just a recruiter. I was a matchmaker, a bridge builder, and I realized that I didn't need to change careers. I didn't need to become someone else. I simply needed to reimagine what my work could serve. And that's how Climate Hires started. We help climate-focused companies attract and hire the best talent to grow. And we help people like you to transition your career in climate using the skills that you already have. Climate change is not just an environmental crisis. It's one of the biggest workforce transitions we are seeing in our generation. But the good news is that every disruption brings an opportunity. And if we act intentionally, this could be an opportunity to create a greener economy with generation full of climate leaders, builders, and problem solvers. According to a report by International Labour Organization, the green transition could lead up to 100 million jobs by as soon as 2030. And here's the twist. You don't have to be an expert, a climate expert, to be a part of this. Yes, we need scientists, and we need renewable experts, and we need sustainability managers. But you could also be a lawyer, an accountant, a project manager, or an artist. Your skills itself could be your hidden superpower. You know how in Marvel movies, when the hero is just living their life, until someone shows up and says, "The world needs you." Climate is kind of like that. Only this time, the call is real, and the world needs all of us. Climate is an active force transforming entire industries. Just imagine this. The industries, the factories that makes everything from your phone to toothpaste, they are not just looking to cut cost, they are also looking to cut carbon emissions and redesign materials that can be recycled. Your favorite clothing brand? They are rethinking how garments are sourced, manufactured, and shipped in a more sustainable manner. And cities, the ones we live in, it's being redesigned to survive floods, reduce heat, and improve air quality. Now, none of this is the future. It's already happening. And the people who are making it happen are people just like us, in regular jobs, doing them in radically different ways. Through Climate Hires, we have now helped hundreds of people identify their climate superpowers. There are steel industry veterans now driving decarbonization. There are HR leaders now building climate teams. There are finance professionals now funding the green transition. And for people who are just starting off in their careers, think of it as a blank slate opportunity to write your own script. In fact, you could be the first generation of people to have an opportunity to start your career solving for climate change. And the rest of you, I'm not asking you to quit your job tomorrow, but I'm asking you to get curious about one question. What will it mean to know that your job is to tackle one of the biggest crises we face as a planet? Because here's the truth, we all know, but we rarely say out loud. We are scared of climate change. We are scared of feeling powerless and not knowing how to help. But what if this fear is exactly what the world needs, and the skills, the ones that you already have, is exactly what this movement requires? So if you're curious about making this transition in your career, here is a 3-step framework that guided me in my journey and now guides the people that I coach. The first one being discovering your transferable skill. Now, this is not just about asking, what am I good at? Or I'm a marketer, recruiter, finance person. It's about digging deeper. It's asking, what are those unique combination of skills that makes you excellent at what you do? To give you an example, when I was reflecting on my own skill, I realized that my strength wasn't just to source great candidates and fill a role. It was my ability to paint a vision of possibility for people and tell them that, hey, joining this company or a startup is not just going to be a job change for you, but could be a life-changing opportunity. That storytelling skill is what I use today. The second one, crafting your climate narrative. Now, this is about positioning yourself by building your voice. Climate as a space is still emerging. The jobs are not fully defined yet. So it becomes our responsibility to articulate that how our unique skills could be of value in ways that are not even obvious yet. To give an example here, I know somebody who was passionate about writing on climate solutions and issues. This girl started her newsletter, built her identity in the space, long before she actually got hired as a content strategist at a climate foundation. So don't wait to be an expert enough. Your fresh perspective is extremely valuable. And the last and the third one, building meaningful connections. Now, as a recruiter, I can tell you one thing. Most hiring happens through connections and not on job boards. This is even more true in climate, where we don't have enough experts and we need people with qualities like learnability, adaptability, and fresh thinking. All of the things that shines through conversation and not on resumes. So whether it's about going and attending climate events, meeting people for coffee chats who are working in this space, because all these connections may not just lead to opportunities, but it will help you identify that where do you fit into this whole ecosystem. Now you might think it looks great in theory, but is it as simple as that? All I can say is that digging deeper into all of these aspects helped me a lot to come out of my comfort zone and find my true calling. So let me leave you with this. When I first decided to transition my career in climate, I was extremely anxious. But soon I found myself more energized than I ever felt. We don't just need more people worried about the climate, we need more people working on it. And I often think of that 8-year-old on the boat who didn't know what a flooded village meant, but today I do. And now I know that we can either drift or we help steer the boat. So, if you have ever felt the quiet call to do something more meaningful with your careers, let this be your sign. Thank you.